Alrighty, here we go. So I'm listening to this video. You know who it is. I'm not going to bother to waste y'all's time. And they're talking about, or excuse me, he's doing a video about these, apparently, this father daughter, or arguing about whether it's human rights or constitutional rights. And of course, she says that, well, we need to get rid of well, she didn't say get rid of but the Constitution is outdated. We need human rights. The human rights constitute whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, it made me realize that if something ever did happen, um, and this is something I think that's just basic shit. As much as people talk about we need to destroy the Constitution, it's useless. It's either it holds us back from our true destiny or whatever, like real right wing stuff, or oh, it's all written by evil white men who are all slave owners. That sort of idea of the Constitution. They both need it as a framework, in my opinion. Both you know, legitimate, quote unquote, meaning, basically they have the power to beat the hell out of you if you try to rebel. A legitimate government, whether it's considered so called right wing, so called left wing, they would have to they would have to adopt certain aspects of the Constitution to be seen as legitimate. That's my opinion. But this is the reality of it. You have to realize, as much as people want to change everything and can have a complete revolution, usually the stuff at the top, generally speaking, apart from minor changes here and there, are left alone. Like I say, in general, think about it like this: the Soviet Union. Soviet Union, you know, definitely attacked religion, more specifically the Russian Orthodox Church. Got rid of all the bureaucrats and everything else like that. After they kept the number of them going, kept the number of them in power, and then eventually did their revolution, this and that. Now the thing is, this is they didn't really change a whole lot. They continued on with the Politburo, this and that. But how much of the Politburo was the basis of it was considered on the Duma, you know. And of course, like I said, the Duma was instituted after the fall of the Soviet Union. So, in my opinion, these things don't, some things just don't disappear. They don't go away. Um, and you realize to a point that once again, revolutions change what happens with ordinary folks temporarily, and eventually they go back to the same way that they were. You realize that with revolutions, it basically just changes who's in charge. It doesn't change the system ultimately. The system is what it is, meaning that there are those that are at the top that get to, do what they want and have fancy parties, this and that, and then everyone else has to continue to work, keep things going. Generally speaking, this is the way it is. Don't live in a fantasy, particularly on the left, of the idea that we're going to have co-ops everywhere and, everybody's going to live in complete freedom or whatever. No, it's nonsense. the truth is that there's always going to be some hierarchy, this and that. So anarchists in particular, shut the fuck up. MLs, just admit that, you know, you still respect the power of the state, like I said, but that's a whole different thing with MLs, you know. It's funny to me, of course, with MLs, and I've repeated this point over and over, is that, they will talk endlessly about state and revolution. And of course, that particular beat in, what is it, chapter 5, where he says, we will destroy the military and police and smash them into atoms. You read a couple paragraphs down, and then he says, but we do need a secret police to, defend the revolution, this and that sort of thing. So they're not, like I say, it's funny to me when MLs will try to talk about ACAB. It's like, no, you know, Lenin still wanted a police force. He still wanted that, you know. Soviets were not against, police in the same way. Are you talking to me? What? Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, okay, right. Anywho, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. But the thing is that the Constitution, as tainted, I'll put it that way, as tainted as it is, for whatever reason you want to choose, is still going to be the basis of some organization. They're not going to destroy that document. Much the same way as Hitler needed uh, Paul von Hindenburg to give him power legitimately. Both left and right need the Constitution. Like I say, I mostly point to lefties on this because obviously they'll say, "Oh, well, it was written by slaveholders, this and that." But if you really pushed them and said, do you want to abolish the Constitution, destroy the only the only available, well, I was going to say the original copy, destroy the original copy of the Constitution and burn it, would you do that? And I would bet you most of them would say no, because they'll say, as much as bad as it is, this and that, it's a form of legitimacy. It's the only thing, in my opinion. And this is the way, that at least, I'm gonna be very cringe and say it like this, but the only spiritual connection to the founding fathers is through the Constitution. That document, and like I said, this is the whole idea of, like I say, now you're getting into like constitutional law, the belief that, is the Constitution a living thing, or is it a document from the past? Who knows, right? But it's the only spiritual connection to that we have to the founders of this country, good, bad, right or wrong. It's the only connection. Like I say, the Jefferson family. Like I say, I mean, whether you want to think of it as George and Wheezy, you know, well, you're moving on up to the Jefferson family isn't still around. At least, we couldn't really track them down that easily, and they're not in places of power. Lincoln, not really, or Benjamin Franklin or whomever. Yeah, popped it open. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep. But anyway, I'll wrap this video up because I'm getting to. But the thing is this: it's the only connection, as far as I can see. You can't really connect to a family, much the same way as monarchs used to do. People would go to the Hohenzollerns, this and that. At least that was a time. Now, of course, that sort of idea of blood has been destroyed. That died in 1918, but arguably it completely died in 1945 in most of the world, at least for the most part. Like I say, I know people are going to talk about, but in the United States, it's done by documents. It's done by this piece of paper gives me the legitimacy instead of people giving you legitimacy and rubber stamping you. Now we need a document. And the Constitution, in my opinion, is that document. You can disagree with it and you can say you hate it, but it's seen as that connection to the founding fathers of this nation. And most lefties want this nation to stay as one thing. They do. Apart from the decolonization types and all that sort of thing, most lefties want this country to remain because it gives them legitimacy. Most right wingers don't care, in my opinion. Like I say, I'm stealing this bit. I will be honest with you. I apologize to Constantine Martelli and to GSP. Shout out to them, by the way. They did a great closing 2021 stream. But the reality is that right wingers in general do not care about this United States being one thing. In general, I don't think they do. Whereas lefties require it. They require it because they can at least say that liberalism, as bad as liberalism is the basis for their their humanist beliefs. And that's how they see it. They see it as a basis, as a foundation. They see it as a foundation to continued uh, belief in human rights and all that sort of thing. Anyway, that's all I got. Hope y'all enjoyed this. See you later. Bye bye.